I'd love to know, just from your perspective, and we speak to a lot of companies that say, okay, we want somebody from the B2B tech market because they understand what it's like to market solutions and complex stuff, and they understand pipeline, all this kind of stuff. Obviously, you've come from a different sector. Do you think that's something that companies should stand by, or do you think the transition that you've made suggests that it's probably easier to do, to move sectors?
So that's a really interesting question. It's definitely been hard. I've seen people within Proximie who have come from neither a tech nor a health background. And I think that is a steep learning curve. I haven't found it as hard because fundamentally the market in which I'm operating in, I know like the back of my hand. And so I needed to understand the product, and I needed to understand, more of the technical aspects of that product. But ultimately, who I'm talking to is the voice of the customer, is the heart of that customer. If you take strip marketing back and go, that's what it's for. I know my customer, I know who they are, and I know the world in which they operate in. And so I don't think the tech side of things is as hard as people would envisage. I think it's very different. I think it's, you take one or two, or, you go B2B, B2C. That's hard. That's really hard. But I've done enough B2B for this really not to be different. But I think the world is moving into understanding as well that this B2B and B2C is blurring. Surgeons are B2B, but they're C. We talk about being sort of white coat, targeting people with their surgical white coat on and white coat off. It's just different messages in different spaces that you need to speak to people in. And so I think those lines are blurring personally. For me, and I do this when I look at recruiting, and if I think about myself, attitude, tenacity, willing to try new things, caring about what you do is far, far going to outweigh any experience you may have had in a sector, is my personal opinion.